Night Bulletin presents Family of Three, written and read by TF Ahmad. I always felt safe in my neighborhood. Never once had I felt the need to quicken my steps or tense my shoulders when I heard footsteps behind me. Granted, I'm male and a pretty big guy, so that probably had more to do with my perception of safety than any knowledge of crime statistics. That illusion, however, was shattered when I got a dog. I know how that sounds, but it wasn't the dog that did anything. It was that family. Tonka was a small, golden-haired Australian terrier. In sunlight, his fur shone an unnatural yellow. My 4-year-old nephew saw this and called the dog Tonka like his yellow toy truck. The name stuck. Tonka needed 3 walks a day or he would piss the rug. I took him out once in the morning, once right after I came home from work, and once before bed. Since Tonka was small, I only took him out for about 15 minutes to do his business. At night, I would often encounter no one. Occasionally, I would see a lone person on their way home from a late evening shift, or I'd see a group of young men on their way home from a bar. Sometimes, I'd even see another dog walker. Despite living in a big city, my neighborhood was on the quieter side. One summer night, I came upon a strange family of 3 out walking. It was hot despite the hour, but a cool breeze made the trees dance and provided some comfort. I was standing in a pool of moonlight waiting for Tonka to finish when I saw 3 silhouettes approaching. I saw a short person in between 2 tall figures, all holding hands. I immediately pegged them as a child with his or her parents out for a late evening stroll. Tonka finished his business and was kicking up his hind legs to leave his mark. I scooped up the poop and tied the bag deftly, then tugged the leash to encourage Tonka along. When I looked up, the 3 silhouettes had stopped in the middle of the sidewalk about 15 feet away. They stood in the darkness, right at the edge of the moonlight. I could see their sneakers, all 3 pairs identical. I could not make out their faces. "That's a nice dog," came a small female voice. That had to be the child. I began. "Yes," said a deep male voice. "That is a nice dog." I felt my first moment of uneasiness then. It wasn't fear, mind you, just a sense that this was going to be another awkward exchange between me and a few strangers. I eased into a smile. "This is Tonka," I said affectionately. "Say hi, Tonka." I attempted to drag him forward, but I felt an immense resistance. Looking down, I saw that Tonka had taken a defensive posture and was glaring at the family. A low rumble escaped his mouth. "That's a really nice dog," said a slightly older female voice. It was in the same tone, the same cadence as the man's voice and as the child's voice. It was detached and unemotional. I tried to look into their faces. I focused, but each of them was still in enough darkness that I could not make out any features. I thought of simply running past them, of making some excuse and soldiering on. I was only a few blocks away from my apartment. "Can I pet your dog?" came the small girl's voice. "Yes," both parents said in unison. "Can we pet your dog?" The bile rose in my throat. I suddenly felt the heat of the night oppress me. Something was wrong with this family. I don't know what it was, but I didn't want to get any closer to them. I started. "I'm not sure if that's a good idea. He scares easily."
"Can we pet your dog?"
they asked again, only this time it was harsher, meaner. I began to back up, pulling Tonka's leash along. At the same moment, the family sprung forward out of the shadows as one unit. I still didn't get a good look at them, but an arm shot out and reached for me. I felt a brush of fingers on my forearm and shivered. The fingers felt rough and dry, yet still dead cold. I picked up Tonka and ran, not sure if the family was following me. I did not stop running until I was back in my apartment. The next morning, I felt foolish for being afraid. There was nothing sinister about that family. Sure, they might have been pretty weird, but that did not make them scary. I still walked my dog like a good pet owner, both during the day and at night, but I saw nothing out of the ordinary. Days later, I was scrolling through a local neighborhood watch website. I thought I had heard gunshots the previous night, and I was checking if anyone else had heard them. I came upon a post that just said, "Stolen dog." I clicked on it. Last Saturday, I was walking my dog Baxter in the West Town neighborhood and came upon a family of 3, a man, a woman, and their daughter. They insisted on petting Baxter, but my pup would not get close to them. I didn't get the best vibe from them, but they seemed harmless. I walked Baxter forward so the little girl could pet him. When I was less than a foot away, I felt dry, rough hands grab onto my wrists. I let out a cry, but no one was around. They wrenched the leash from my hands and took Baxter away from me. I tried to fight back, but I'm almost 60 years old. I was knocked to the ground in short order. I didn't hear any footsteps, but I could tell that they were getting away because I heard Baxter's yelps receding. I called the police, but I wasn't really able to give them a description of anyone in the family. It all happened so fast. Please, if you see Baxter, let me or the police know. I've attached a picture to the end of this post. He's a tan corgi and his harness is bright blue. He also responds to Bax. Lastly, if you encounter this family when you are out walking your dog at night, call the police. Do not approach them, do not speak to them, and do not bring your dog close to them. I fear what they might be doing to my dog. Please be careful, and God bless. I read the post 2 more times before scrolling down to the comments. Most of them were full of sympathy or anger, but some also detailed encounters with this mysterious family. People had dogs and cats taken from them, and others had simply encountered them while out walking. Everybody said they felt a vague uneasiness or dread in their presence. Some speculated they were illegally reselling the dogs or breeding them. Others said it was a dog-fighting scheme. Some even went so far as to say they were stealing the animals in order to eat them. One post, however, gave me more chills than all of the others. This anonymous commenter theorized that this family was in fact one being, one single demon posing as a family of 3 in order to get close to its targets. It sounded ridiculous, but it rang true to me somehow. Call me crazy, but the fact that their voices all sounded similar made me think it wasn't 3 different people speaking to me. Despite not encountering the family again directly, I was not totally fearless. Oftentimes during my night walks with Tonka, I would get a strange feeling I was being followed or watched very closely. I started to take corners around buildings cautiously. I quickened my steps through unlit areas of the sidewalk. I think I might have even seen the silhouettes of 3 people across the street a few times. Taking Tonka out at night started to be a source of anxiety for me. I no longer felt safe in my neighborhood. I moved when my lease was up after having only lived in West Town for a year. I settled in Ravenswood, and for a while, my anxieties about night walks disappeared. My fear returned rather suddenly one night when I was walking Tonka and saw a missing dog poster on a light post. Missing dog, Lucy, it said in big bold letters. Last seen on the corner of Lawrence and Hamilton. Possibly stolen by 3 people who were nearby. I glossed over the rest of the poster, which had a photo, a description of the dog, and contact info. Immediately, the feeling of being watched returned, and I power walked back to my new apartment. Once inside, I went to the window and raised the blinds. Across the street were 3 people, 2 tall, with a short person in between them. They were all holding hands, and they were all in silhouette. That was Family of 3. Please rate, review, subscribe, and tell a friend about this podcast. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Night Bulletin.